8 minutes after 8 o'clock is news time on this Tuesday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 8 o'clock newscast. A lack of housing is hurting local communities, and DeWitt County's economic development leader is hoping DeWitt County can tap into a market that is going unmet in many places. On the WHOW Morning Show Monday, Kurt Homan, executive director of the DeWitt County Development Council, told Regional Radio there is a demand for housing in DeWitt County for a market that cannot keep up.
I always go back to a pretty important statistic. It wasn't all that long ago that the average household size was about a little over 4 people per household. That number's down to a little over 2. So we lost about 2 people per household. So, on a community-wide basis, if you look at that, if you haven't doubled the number of housing units in your community, your population has decreased. And so it's incredibly important that we keep on the horizon with new homes and new home alternatives. So, other communities in the county as well, their population has declined, even though the number of houses in those communities have increased. They just haven't increased enough. So, because less people are living in a house than they did 30, 40 years ago. So, housing is a long-term plan, a long-term prospect, a long-term venture. So we need to always focus on new housing. Well, it's decreasing because there isn't anywhere to live. So we're fortunate on our DCDC board. We have a realtor, and I'm always talking to realtors in the area. And they're telling me, of course, they don't have enough houses to sell. They don't have enough houses to meet the demand of the people that would like to buy housing. And it's not unique to DeWitt County. I mean, this is going on all over the nation. There's a shortage of housing.
According to Homan, the 2 biggest communities in DeWitt County, Clinton and Farmer City, there should be 2 objectives. One is to restore properties where blighted homes have been raised, and also the development of new subdivisions.
And so we'd like to see people, there's a couple of objectives. If I know Clinton and Farmer City both have had a focus on cleaning up the community and blighted homes that maybe have been abandoned to take care of those properties. Well, ideally, you don't just want an empty lot once those have been torn down. You would like to see people put different homes back in those spots. So you want to kind of fill in the town, but the real progress comes with new subdivisions, and those become a much bigger task, and also a much costlier task. But there's certainly ways to address those areas, but those are what we need. And to me, I would point to we need mixed use housing. So that's single family homes, apartment buildings, duplexes, senior housing. All of the above makes for a very vibrant community for sure.
Costs are largely what prevent communities from pursuing housing developments, but Homan indicates there are ways to recoup those costs and improve the housing market.
It's incredibly expensive to develop a new subdivision. Okay, before we even get to the individual homeowner or the builder aspect. So, there are ways, the city, as an example, if they had to do all the infrastructure, the streets, the sewer, the water lines, I mean, that's several millions of dollars to get that done. So, there's programs such as the TIF district. Most of the successful communities in the area will implement TIF districts, so they can get reimbursed for those costs that they've had to spend. So it starts there. I mean, there has to be a place to get that done, and then ultimately, it's from the individual home owner, the person, typically people are upgrading a home. So, if the new home is $350,000, they may be leaving a $175,000 house.
Right.
Well, there's a different market. There's a different market for that individual. So as they trade and move out of homes, that there's a house becomes available that makes sense for another.
According to Homan, there are avenues to begin housing development, and that is for a developer to take up the development of a portion of a community, and then for a TIF district to be set up for that community to recoup its costs.
Well, first of all, we need developers that are willing to take on the task. So if we can sit down with the developer, from a city level, from a economic development level, from a county level, we'll work out details to make that make sense. We'll help find land. Potentially they would acquire the ground. They typically front some of the infrastructure cost. Then a TIF really needs to be developed because the city needs to recoup several $1 million of development costs that they'll have with water, sewer, street. The developer can sell these lots, so they can recoup their money along the way. They'll get reimbursed, of course, some of the costs from their input of the utilities or infrastructure work. But you really just need someone that's experienced, willing to take that chance and move forward. So we look at it, that developer in comparison to, say, a developer in Bloomington, Normal, Illinois, where, a house there or a lot there may sell instantly. There may be a little more holding cost in DeWitt County, but all in all, we think it can make sense for everybody.
Homan is working to find developers who would be interested in coming to Clinton. The city of Lincoln has big plans for the future of its new tourism department. Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch explains since their departure from the Logan County Tourism Bureau, the city has been donated a Route 66 exhibit that should be open to the public in the spring. This reflects the new Route 66 focused direction the city wants to take with its tourism department.
The big thing we're working on to kick it off is the best way to describe it is it's a Route 66 train exhibit that it's immersive. It'll give you the experience of traveling Route 66 in one location across all 8 states. There's statues and neon signs and replicas of a lot of the things you would see on Route 66. And we actually had that exhibit donated to us from a gentleman in Chicago, and we had to have a place to put it. So we had a really big bank building down here that's been sitting empty for a few years. It's the old State Bank building on Broadway Street, and the city council agreed that we could use hotel motel money, purchase that building, and we're going to use it for tourism. Part of that building is going to be used for economic development initiatives. We're trying to create an incubator for businesses to have a place to come get all the information they need, startups, things like that. So a lot going on.
Scott McCoy is the former mayor of Pontiac and has been brought on to help breathe new life into the Lincoln Tourism Department. Mayor Welch cannot share much, but says McCoy has already been coming up with big ideas.
Well, I think we're already starting to see some of that. I mean, Scott has a lot of vision and ideas that he wants to lay out. This exhibit is one of a few. Some of the other things I really can't share a lot about because they're still in the works and nothing is confirmed. They're just ideas we're kicking around. Somebody did mention that perhaps we could put a car exhibit in there, old Route 66 cars or something to that effect. So the possibilities are pretty endless.
McCoy was instrumental in the statues many have taken notice of in Atlanta. It's innovation and the infusion of unique ideas like that has Mayor Welch excited for McCoy to be joining the city of Lincoln's tourism efforts. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Sports is next.
August 16th in downtown Gibson City, Illinois. This year's lineup is poised to be an experience you won't forget with 2024 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees, Foreigner. With special guest John Wade. Get your general admission and party pit passes to Summer Bash today at GAHHSSummerbash.com.
See how your Illinois soybean checkoff investment is driving on-farm progress at the 2025 Farm Progress Show. Explore ISA's cover crop and agronomy plots and join the agronomy team as they showcase practical ISA checkoff-funded resources for Illinois soybean farmers. Visit with experts and grab a coffee each morning at 8 a.m. during Brewing with the Bean Team to learn how ISA partners with researchers and NRCS to support conservation and profitability. Just stop by the plot on the south end of West Progress Avenue and experience how your Illinois soybean checkoff works for your farm.
Make this school year their strongest yet. Book your child's back to school or sports physical today at SIU Center for Family Medicine in Lincoln. Keep them healthy, focused, and ready for success. Find out more by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Hi, I'm Brett with Central Cremation Center. we're proudly offering pet cremation services to help keep your faithful companion close to you. Learn more about our pet services by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
With SRN Sports, I'm Jason Walker. NCAA deciding not to expand the men's and women's basketball tournaments beyond 68 teams in 2026. Discussions about possibly expanding to 72, maybe even 76 teams for the 2027 tournaments remain ongoing. Philadelphia Eagles standout Saquon Barkley is declining an invitation to join President Trump's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. He explains that he is simply too busy right now to help out. Former college football coach Derek Dooley announcing his 2026 GOP bid for the U.S. Senate in Georgia. He says he aims to bring Georgia common sense to the Senate. This is SRN Sports. Lots of baseball action last night. We will kick things off in the National League. St. Louis over the LA Dodgers 3-2. Cincinnati 3. The Cubs 2. Arizona beat San Diego 6-2. Boy, deuce is wild. Pittsburgh beat San Francisco 5-4. And it was Milwaukee 3. Atlanta 1. Over in the American League, Boston defeated Kansas City 8-5. Texas over the Yankees 8-5. Angels knocked off Tampa Bay 5-1. It was Detroit 6, Minnesota 3. And in interleague play last night, 4 games were on tap. Houston 8, Miami 2. Cleveland beat the Mets 7-6. And a couple of wild games, Philadelphia 13, Baltimore 3, Toronto 15, Colorado 1. SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. Bringing excitement to Decatur's South Side is the goal this year for Decatur Eisenhower's football program. Fourth-year coach DeWitt Johnson admits football hasn't always been prioritized by its students, but that is starting to change, and it is his belief the program can turn a corner this year thanks to a great summer by his student athletes.
The summer treated me really well. Again, just having the opportunity to spend a full summer with the guys and to really get this group of guys together and ready and committed for the fall 25 season. We worked on a lot of different things. Worked on a lot of becoming a team. Worked a lot about, developing skills. And then we, went on a bunch of 7-on-7s in the month of July, joining up over at Taylorville and doing some things at Civic Memorial, Batalto, Illinois. And we, also did some things over at Memorial Forsyth and those different kind of things. So we really had a good time with it.
While Eisenhower finished just 1-8 last year, there were a couple of football games the Panthers were right there. Coach Johnson says thanks to this summer, where he had excellent participation from his players, he feels they are developing and ready to hit the ground running when practices begin for the season next week.
It was one of the most important things about, having a summer, having a full off season, because you have the opportunity to grow, you have the opportunity to develop. Usually, again, when we're waiting until, that end of July and August to get started, you're basically starting really late. So now you're using the season to actually prepare for the season. And, and that's kind of one of the things that, we trying to overcome. We're having 4 summers, we're having June and July and, and then also August where you're not having, and also the off season where, again, you're using that time to develop, to, again, get better at the game of football, to become more knowledgeable about the game of football instead of waiting to the end. And then now you're hoping that, okay, we become a better team. We become more of a team. We become more competitive. We become more skilled, in week 6, week 7, week 8, and, hopefully to finish well in week 9. That you're just hoping and, and praying that, okay, every game we get better.
Right.
So that's why it was so important for us to have a full off season, a full season with everybody coming, everybody being committed, everybody's being developed, everybody's growing, all of the coaches, staying together and moving forward with the program, that we can grow before the season, and hoping that, okay, now we can become very skilled, very knowledgeable, and we can be prepared for the season as well. So that's one of the things that, again, we took, from, the games that we were close in last year and last fall, I should say. And we, kind of use that to encourage everybody, hey, this is why we have to have full off season, full commitment and participation throughout the off season, throughout the summer, that we will be able to start August 29th against Streeter ready to play football.
The Coach Johnson's Panthers are led by a third-year starting quarterback. He is hopeful some of the experience and speed around him will be the catalyst to winning a few more football games.
This year, we're going to have our quarterback, Gary Henderson, who's going to really stand out. We're going to have another senior, Jerome Mitchell, stand out. We're going to have Marcus Page stand out. We're going to have Caleb Cliff, who's a junior, is going to stand out. Kashif Willis, who's going to stand out as well, who's a junior. We have some really good freshmen coming in, and again, we're still young, but we are, like I said, we have guys that are a lot more committed and wanting to really, again, lift up this side of town, south side of town of football.
The Panthers this season will be focused on playing fast, downhill, taking care of the football, and tackling well. Coach Johnson believes if his team can do those things, they'll have a banner year on Decatur's south side. Eisenhower opens the football season at Streeter. Pinch hitter Yohel Pozo delivered a tie-breaking RBI single with 2 outs in the 9th inning, and the Cardinals hung on for a 3-2 win over the LA Dodgers Monday night. After Wilson Contreras got a leadoff single off new Dodger reliever Brock Stewart, pinch hitter Garrett Hampson eventually scored on a soft single to right by Pozo. The Cardinals' backup catcher celebrated enthusiastically after his second hit in his last 8 games. Sonny Gray yielded a hit over 7 stellar innings for the Cardinals. 2 relievers combined on a perilous 3-hitter for St. Louis. Riley O'Brien earned his first career victory at 30 years old, despite blowing a lead in the 8th inning. Jojo Romero then got his second save despite giving up a leadoff single to Shohei Ohtani, retiring Max Muncy on a line drive to right with 2 outs for the final out. Gray had an entertaining duel with Tyler Glasnow, who gave up 3 hits in 7 innings of 1-run ball for L.A. Ivan Herrera hit a 2-out homer in the 8th for St. Louis. Teoscar Hernandez doubled and scored the tying run on 2 groundouts in the bottom half for L.A. Mason Wynn ended a 32-game homer drought in the Cardinals' 3rd victory in 9 games. Freddie Freeman homered for the West-leading Dodgers, who fell to 7-9 since the All-Star break, with another tepid offensive performance in their return from a mediocre 9-game road trip. After Ohtani's single, Lars Nootbaar made a spectacular diving catch on Mookie Betts' tailing fly to the right field line. Glasnow is winless in 9 starts since March 31st, despite posting a 2.17 ERA since his return last month. He retired 17 of his last 18 batters without a hit. Miles Michaelis pitches for St. Louis opposite Emmett Sheehan tonight. TJ Friedel hit a tie-breaking RBI single in the 7th, and the Reds held off the Cubs for a 3-2 win Monday night. Tyler Stevenson homered for Cincinnati. Ellie De La Cruz had an RBI double. The 59 and 54 Reds had dropped 4 of 6. Dansby Swanson hit his 17th homer for the Cubs, who fell 3 games behind Central leading Milwaukee with 2 outs and runners on the corners in the 7th. Friedel drove in Jake Fraley with a blooper to left center field against Caleb Teelbar. Ryan Brazier got the loss. The Cubs threatened in the bottom half, advancing Willie Castro to third with 2 down. Swanson then hit a chopper to third and was ruled safe. The Reds challenged, and the call was overturned when a replay review showed Swanson missed the bag initially as he crossed first base. The Cubs had won 3 of 4. Zach Littell makes his Cincinnati debut tonight. Left-hander Shota Imanaga starts for Chicago. Littell was acquired in a trade with Tampa last week. Get sports anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the product